Each and every day, enjoy the Simple Six menu at Subway. An entire made-for-you meal featuring one of 6 6-inch sandwiches like the Italian BMT or Black Forest ham, with any bag of chips and a 21-ounce drink, all for only $6. Subway. Eat fresh.
The B.S. Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The B.S. Report. The B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the B.S. Report. Not in Southern California today. It is a windy, chilly, freezing day in Chicago, Illinois. That's where I am right now. I'm going to the biggest college doubleheader probably since Sal and I were kids. I can't even come up with a parallel for how big this doubleheader is tonight. There's 11 lottery picks and Andrew Wiggins versus Julius Randle. Cousin Sal, I know you're excited. You'll bet on these games.
Oh, of course I will. But I'm glad you set the record straight that we were delayed because of your executive travel plans, not because the Cowboys made me too miserable to do a podcast, which is what a lot of people thought. So
it was funny. I got a few emails like, oh, my God, they finally broke Sal. He couldn't do the podcast. I was like, no, this is my fault. I was traveling. But people really genuinely seem to think that you were just finally broken. They caved.
I don't know. Maybe I look at it the wrong way, but these blowout games hurt a lot less than the ones where we're up 10 with 3 minutes left and we blow it. Because I think maybe because I hope, and it doesn't seem that this is the case, that Jerry Jones will realize, well, this is an embarrassment. I need to make some serious changes on the staff. But rather than when we lose in the last minute, it'd be like, well, that's just bad luck. Nothing we could do about that. But it doesn't seem like we're going to fire the coach during the bye. So I don't know what I'm thinking.
You know what was a problem that game? I noticed something about the Cowboys in that game that I think might be a flaw. You can't rush the passer or cover receivers.
Oh, shut up.
No, seriously, I noticed that.
Okay,
it's a bad combo. When you can't rush the passer or cover receivers, it turns out that's a problem.
Well, since when is that important? I don't know. It's not in today's NFL. We have. I know nothing about a lot of these defensive players. They have 3 undrafted free agents in the secondary. I'm very upset when Justin Durant gets hurt, and I know very little about him. It's crazy.
Didn't you and Joe House have a super contest team this year that I've been living vicariously through because I turned into Billy Ice this year. Now renamed myself Billy Zima. Uh-huh. But you guys had Tampa and Jacksonville this week, correct?
We went 4-1. 4-1 this week. We're tied for 8th going into the week, so I don't think we could be any lower than 5th right now or 4th. We're only 2 games back. But, yeah, that was a ballsy move, right, taking Tampa and Jacksonville?
I loved it. And I was so upset. I took Tennessee in my column.
Yeah.
Just because I totally forgot. Week 10 is right around when the teams that looked horrible for the first 2 months of the season start, covering these crazy spreads.
Mm-hmm.
I forget this every single year. But
well, I think it marks the week where the gamblers are officially screwed. There are no, except for maybe my Dallas Cowboys, there are no teams that have quit on their coach, Jacksonville and Tampa Bay included. And that Colts game, I don't know. I mean, that was just, we had, I guess we should say we had the Colts on a teaser, which is why that was so lopsided. But I don't think we've ever lost a game so quickly as we did the Colts-Rams.
Well, we had a great tease. We teased the Colts and the Niners, both of whom lost. So both sides of the tease. I feel like you should win the tease if both sides lose.
You should get something back.
Yeah.
Either that, or you should buy everyone in the Las Vegas Hilton a round of booze or something. I don't know. Yeah, that's bad. And we lost our parlay too. We didn't do much better on that.
Excuse me, I just coughed into my Skype headset. I'd like to apologize to everybody listening. Hey, we have some Vegas stuff to discuss before we do the Week 11 lines.
I thought we weren't going to talk about. Oh, okay. Oh, not our last trip. I see what you're saying. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Do you know who has the second best MVP odds in the NBA right now? Take a guess.
In the NBA?
Yeah, in the NBA.
When does that start, by the way? That's got to be
started 2 weeks ago. Our Chicago Bulls pick is in trouble. But guess who has the number 2 MVP odds behind LeBron James in the NBA right now?
Michael Carter Williams Foster Smith.
No, plus 500.
Who is it?
Paul George.
Is it? Oh, undefeated.
Paul George is your number 2 MVP candidate right now.
Wow.
And the Indiana Pacers have the second best title odds. So I went into the season under the premise that Miami was going to be tired from 3 straight finals and that somebody else was going to grab pole position. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was going to be the Chicago Bulls, and it still might be. But Rose has looked a little rusty these first 2 weeks. Joakim Noah's hurt, but instead, Indiana came flying in, and they're just killing everybody. And defensively, they're the best team. Paul George has made a leap, and they're a candidate to. They could be in the high 60s for wins. It's pretty interesting.
But as soon as they lose 3 games, Paul George's numbers go way up, right? His odds go way up. Am I wrong? No.
Oh, his odds go the other way? Well, I don't know. You could make a case he's the 3rd best player in the league right now behind LeBron and Durant.
All right. Well, let me just point out, this is a football podcast.
Oh, no, well, I have a couple.
Oh, good.
I had a couple of Vegas.
Could I just read? I'm sorry. Can I just play this message you left me, because people are complaining that you've ditched the football season, the NFL altogether, and this message you left me. It may confirm that, and there was a little bullying at the end too. Let me just play it real quick.
Was?
Oh yeah. Cousin Sal, sports this guy here. What a crazy day in the NFLBA. First, got the Indianapolis Hoosier Colts blowing our 2-team teaser, getting posterized by Chris Long and the St. Reggie Louis Rams. Then we lost our parlay when the Green Bay Pacers the backup bench player came in, and wide receiver was totally boxed out, forcing him to throw a pick and roll in the end zone. In other games around the league on the hardwood gridiron, the Ben Wallace Bengals almost won in regulation on a full-court alley-oop as the shot clock expired. A.C. Green buried the jumper, only to have the Ray Vince Carter take it to the hole in OT with a 3-pointer from way downtown off a dude's foot. And then your team, the Earl Cowboykins. Their disgraceful boxing one defense was no match for Drew Brees, who put up a quadruple double in passing yards in the paint. And that's what you get. Another loss for your pathetic squad, you half Italian, half provolone with dressing on the side piece of shit. I'm going to spit in your mouth. I saw you on Draw Something. You've been training. I'm going to slap your mouth and your mother's mouth and my dog Rufus's mother in the mouth. F you. You're still a rookie. Sports guy over and out. Kiko Alonso.
The bullying is just, it's really infecting everybody.
I don't know where that came from. Why you get so angry with me? We're friends.
I don't know either. Especially you're not a rookie. You're not a rookie at all. I should be bullying Andrew Sharp. Well, Las Vegas thing. Michigan State favored by 3.5 over Kentucky, and then Duke favored by 5 over Kansas. Now, you look at that Michigan State line and you say, well, that's weird. Kentucky has like 9 first-rounders. Why aren't they favored?
Right.
Titus, who writes for us, who's done a really good job this year with his previews, he loves Michigan State today. He said he thinks it's going to take like a month for the Kentucky guys just to get used to each other because there's so many new guys. The point guard just came back. So I am picking a Michigan State Kansas parlay.
I know you're not going Duke. I knew it. I knew what you were saying. All right.
And just remember, I lose every college basketball pick I've ever made since like 1988. So congratulations, Kentucky. You're going to win today.
Well, anytime I go, Duke is the Jaguars for me this year. I cannot win a Duke game betting for or against them. So.
Oh, for me, that's the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's the Eagles? All right.
Yeah, every week after week after week after week. All right, week 11 lines.
Let's do it.
Let's start out on Thursday night. Indianapolis coming off a catastrophe of a Sunday game at home against the Rams.
It's a good
idea.
Playing
Tennessee, who had no idea that the Colts were going to crap the bed last week. Tennessee sitting there. If they just take care of business at home against the 0-8 Jags, this game now has a chance to mean something. But instead, they blow the game against the Jags. So now I don't know what to make of this game.
Well, and now it's weird because, they're not out of it. I would even say they were out of it if they lost this, but they're not, Tennessee. That 6th seed is currently held by the Jets at 5-4, and I don't think that they're going to go 11-5 or. So what do you think? Indy at Tennessee.
Well, before we get to that, I wanted to say that the Jets were the big winner last weekend.
Right, just not playing.
Just by not playing, the Dolphins lost, Tennessee lost. Yep. Who was the other team? The Bengals lost.
Bills are sort of in the mix, yeah.
Yeah, the Bills lost. Texans got knocked out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jets, and I did that whole column on Friday trying to figure out who the playoff teams are going to be. And it really came down to the Jets or Titans. And I thought the Titans, they were going to beat the Jags. And then they had this gift of a Thursday game at home against the Colts, which is so bad if you're the road team.
Right.
And I really thought that they were just the season was going to take off. But now it looks like it's going to be the Jets.
You focused on 18 teams that were still alive. Do you cut that to 15 now? Do you delete the Texans, the Bills, and maybe the Dolphins? Or are those teams still alive?
No, I think you cut the Texans out and you cut the Bills out.
And the Dolphins are still
down
there.
To 16. You know what's funny, though? I probably shouldn't admit this, but I was under the gun with that column. And initially it was supposed to be 19 teams, and I had the Colts in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the Colts were 6-2, but it wasn't a great 6-2. I watched a lot of those games. They were playing from behind a lot, and they really could have been 3-5 or 4-4. And I thought there was, it wasn't a totally realistic chance, but there was a slight chance that the Titans could catch them and win that division if the Colts kind of regressed.
Right.
But I ran out of time with the column, and I didn't have enough time to write a good enough Colts section, so I just said, screw it. They'll probably make the playoffs anyway. I threw them in. And then they lose by 30 at home to the Rams.
Yeah, but still didn't lose any ground, really.
They didn't lose any ground, but I think I don't think it's a slam dunk that they get to 10 wins.
No.
They've looked good in a couple of these games, but it's alarming to me when you fall behind by 2 touchdowns, more than a couple times in a season. That's not great.
No, it's not good. And we labeled them the Cliff Clavin full team of the year so far. So let's see.
I called Andrew the Giant to see if everything was okay.
Oh, what happened? Let me ask you, Andrew the Giant.
You had the tape of that. Yeah, I called Andrew the Giant.
Andrew the Giant. A lot of criticism about your multi-interception game. Can your Colts bounce back?
It wasn't one of our greatest efforts, but we're very, very focused on this Thursday game, and we have high hopes for our Tennessee game.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew, do you have a cold or something? So I heard you coughing before. It seemed like you're a little
Yeah,
fluid.
So I have for Thursday night, Colts giving 3.5 points to the Tennessee Titans.
All right, you're going to get this. I went way higher. I don't know why. I don't even love the Colts this year. I said 6, but it's 3. So Bill Simmons is on the board. You're down 5-4-1 through 10 weeks, but you're up 1-0 this week.
Trent Richardson.
Oh.
Wow.
But now it's so funny. All they had to do was lose one game, and now his miserable stats, even though for a month they've been awful, now people are starting to realize. Now some people are writing about it.
Well, he was below average, but now the last 3 games, what was it, 27 carries for 59 yards or something?
Yeah.
It's really, really, and he doesn't pass the eye test either.
It's bizarre.
Oh my God, he looks like a fullback.
What could they get for him now? Could they get a third rounder for him?
No, and that was why I thought that trade. Obviously, the Browns made that realization before anybody, and they were just trying to sell high.
Right.
They didn't even care because if he plays like that for 4 games for them, all of a sudden you're looking at a third rounder.
Yeah.
But very interesting times for our Browns, but we'll get to them. So Sunday's games. Looking at it, the best game looks like the best early game looks like Bears Ravens, and it's not even that good.
Yeah, that's not a great one. That's not a great one. It's got to be by far. It's the only one with at least both teams with at least 4 wins, right? Oh no, it's Cleveland and Cincinnati. I guess is okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that one.
That could be fun. Be fun. But let's start with Jets at Buffalo.
Yes, let's start at Jets at Buffalo. I have I don't know what happened to the Bills last week. E.J. Manuel looked terrible. I don't understand how you can only put up 3 points basically for the entire game against a team that just gave up 600 yards. That's a problem.
Yeah. I'm rooting for that team. I want them to do better. Is E.J. Manuel eligible for your Ewing theory? He played 3 games. Better without him?
It's either 3 or 3.5. I'm going to say Jets by 3.
Oh, wow. All right, well, this is interesting because now doing these lines on Tuesday, it gets to move around a little bit more than we're used to. I had the Bills by 2. You have the Jets by 3. It's a pick. So I get that one. Right? Yeah. And I like the Bills.
Yeah, I like them too, but why did they suck so much last week?
No, I don't get it. I think
what's interesting about that game? And I'd love to hear from the people from Buffalo in this one. How is the stadium full of half Pittsburgh fans in that game? I thought Buffalo had like a rabid, great fan base. How did they let all those Steelers fans in there?
What do you mean? It was in Pittsburgh. You have to let the home crowd in. It's one of the rules.
Are you sure?
Oh my God! I'm gonna smack you with a Subway sandwich. Oh, the game was in Pittsburgh.
I had it on I had it on one of the other TVs.
This is terrible.
Yeah, you're right.
It's really bad.
So I'm still gonna ask: how did they let all those Pittsburgh fans in there?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you should write a letter to the league. It is unorthodox. You are an NBA hole right now.
Listen. I had the game on. I just thought it was being played in Buffalo. I was getting mad at the Bills that they weren't taking care of business at home. And now I'm not as angry.
You knew Pittsburgh was home last Monday or whatever. Oh, my God. Let's move on. I'm getting sick. Atlanta, Tampa Bay.
Well, I still think it's a fair question why so many Pittsburgh fans showed up at the game. Atlanta, Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I hit this one exactly.
I was stunned by the line I had for this game.
Okay.
The Bucks by 1.5.
You got the 1.5 right, but it's the Falcons by 1.5.
That's ridiculous. The Falcons are one of the 3 worst teams in the league.
They are pretty bad. They won the first meeting 23-21 at home. Like that was their last win. It was a month ago. They have offensive players banged up. I don't see how they score.
And I love body language. Yeah. They're a top 3 bad body language team. It's just like everybody in that team is like, oh my God, what's happening? It's like a train we can't stop.
That was the time to surprise the Seahawks, who are vastly a better team than Atlanta. But traveling west to east, game that they probably didn't care about, and they just got rolled. I don't believe in them.
I picked them. One of the reasons I picked them was because they're getting like a touchdown, but I thought it was going to be one of those games where they were just like, we're throwing everything into this game. I call them the kitchen sink games.
Right.
Where, it's like we're not as good as this team, but if we don't win this week, we're screwed. You see the flea flicker, you see the onside kick, you see the fake punt. Like that's when teams go all out. Mm-hmm. And Atlanta didn't do any of that stuff. They just got their ass kicked.
They stink. And they lost Grimes and Abraham in the offseason. Those are bigger names than they thought. Sort of anchored that defense. All right, Detroit and Pittsburgh.
I do wonder, you see that Julio Jones and Calvin Johnson can make quarterbacks look a lot better than maybe they are.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I do wonder, now we're removing the guy that I could just, when in doubt, throw it up for grabs for 40 yards and he's going to catch it. It's suddenly you have to actually play quarterback.
Yeah, and maybe Steven Jackson's back too soon. He doesn't, these guys, you don't see a 15-yard run from any of these guys ever.
Yeah, true.
Detroit at Pittsburgh. Now, I don't want you to freak out if you don't see enough Lions fans at this game, because it is in Pittsburgh.
I'd like to see some more Lions fans show up than the Bills fans showing up last week. I really feel better about the Buffalo crowd. I was upset seeing it on the small TV, all the Pittsburgh fans. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I have the Lions favored by 1.5 in Pittsburgh.
You're going to get this. I said 3. It's 2.5. Oh, no, I get this. This is where the bad math comes in. Right? Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And the Lions tried so hard to give that game to the Bears. They were giving them the 2-point conversion, roughing the passer. There's going to be a typical Lions last-minute loss, and then the inside handoff.
Schwartz, they're very sloppy.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to look at the coach because it's just they just have a habit of all these dumb plays consistently week after week and dumb decisions, and I just refuse to believe that they just randomly have all these dumb guys in the team.
Well, the other thing is, shouldn't everyone be gunning for this team? Like, I feel like everyone, you probably feel the same way about the Patriots. Everyone's going to bring their A1 game against the Patriots. I certainly feel that with the Cowboys. Every Sunday night game, they're on TV, night game 12 times a year. I think the Lions should be the team everyone wants to beat, or is just everyone that intimidated by them? It's interesting.
It's very true. I don't understand. Well, there's a lot of things I don't understand. One of the things that's a crazy storyline now is you might see the Lions or Carolina with a real shot at the 2 seed.
Ooh, interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Carolina getting past San Fran, and now they have the Pats this week at home, which is the biggest home game they've probably had in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if they win that game, they could go 11-5. And they might even be able to go 12-4. They only have 3 losses right now. They played New Orleans twice. They play the Pats.
Saints, Seattle. Don't they have Seattle, or am I wrong? Or they play? Oh, they played them. That was.
Yeah, they
the first
played
game.
Seattle.
Yeah.
So if they get by the Pats,
on there. Yeah.
That's an 11-5 team, and they play New Orleans twice, so they kind of control that situation a little bit. And then on the Lions side, if Rodgers doesn't come back soon, they might just run away with that division.
Yeah. Oh, that division's a mess with quarterbacks. Yeah.
I ran into, this is ironic, I ran into Randall Cobb last night.
You did?
Did, and I didn't call him Reggie. I was really proud of myself.
Really?
He said 12 is going to be back sooner than people think.
Is that right?
Yeah, he called him 12. I like when the players call their QB by the number.
Wait a minute, Roger Staubach is coming back for the Packers? So excited.
He said, don't count us out. 12 will be back sooner than people think.
All right.
The words of Randall Cobb.
Thanks, Reggie.
Thanks, Reggie. Good luck.
Washington at Philly.
Really, this garbage Eagles team isn't going to really make the playoffs, right? They're really not going to be the 4th seed. Please tell me.
No, I don't know why. The Eagles have a much better record than the Giants, but I feel the Giants, everything has fallen into place for that team. I don't know. I don't like any of it.
Eli has thrown so many pick sixes this season that I don't even shrug anymore when it's happening. It's like, oh, Eli threw another pick six.
People are going to get mad at me, but I think it's official that anyone who has a television that could tell where the home games are being played, even at size, can tell that Eli, no matter what happens, Eli will be the worst quarterback to ever win 2 Super Bowls, ever. And maybe even 1. I'm backing you, Trent Dilfer and Doug Williams.
Wow.
I'm saying it right there. Come on. He'll probably only throw for 350 yards against the Cowboys next week. That's how bad he is.
Here are Philly's 5 losses. They lost by 3 to San Diego in week 2. They lost by 10 to Kansas City. They lost by 32 to Denver. And then they had that goofy stretch in week 7, week 8 against Dallas and the Giants when they only scored 10 points. But those were the 2 Matt Barkley games.
Right.
So with Foles as the starter, they're 5-3, and the 3 losses were San Diego, Kansas City, and Denver. So they may actually be better than we think they are.
I guess we could give them more credit. It's so Jekyll and Hyde. I guess it's when Barkley's in there, they're way worse. But
look at their schedule left though. They right now they have 3 home games and a bye week for the next 4 weeks. They're Washington bye week, Arizona, Detroit.
I don't want to sound like one of those douchebags. It might be way too late for that. But this team lacks identity. What's their identity right now?
So they have those 3 home games. They're at Minnesota, home for Chicago, and then at your Dallas Cowboys in Week 17.
The last game, yeah.
They are not prohibitive underdogs in any of those games.
No, that's true.
Jesus. I have the Eagles by 4.5 over Washington.
All right, you get this. I said 6. I thought it was higher. Washington on the road. Why should that be lower than 5 or 6? But it's 3.5. So Vegas doesn't completely believe in it.
Yeah, Washington gets a weird respect from people that I don't totally understand.
Yeah, I don't get it. I guess they beat the Raiders on the road. What else have they done?
Well, they really could be. They could be 0-9.
Yeah.
They beat Matt Flynn. They beat. They had another garbage win in week 7. I forget. The week 7 one was shaky, and then the Chargers game they never should have won.
Completely dead in the second half against Minnesota, but maybe the 10 days rest figures into the line because it was a Thursday game.
They suck. I'm writing them off. I think it's either the Eagles, Giants, or Cowboys in that division.
Baltimore or Chicago?
Baltimore really wanted to give that game away. The Bengals were like, look, we don't want to win this game. And the Ravens were like, come on, let's at least go to overtime.
And I do give a lot of credit to the Ray Lewis Ravens for staying mentally tough enough to put something together for overtime. But I love that team.
That game helped Bill Barnwell's no momentum case a lot.
Yeah, it did.
Figure like a Hail Mary going into overtime, you're not going to have momentum. Plus, they got the ball.
Let me ask you this. It was an atrocious Hail Mary. Well, let me ask you, everyone says bat the ball down, bat it up, catch it, whatever. What's the most important job for a D-back in any play, let alone a Hail Mary play? Bill Simmons, go ahead. What is it?
You want to touch the ball.
No, that's the wrong. Do a lap. Do a lap right now. That's the terrible answer. You want to make sure no one gets behind you, let alone
that is true.
A.J. Green, who's got a whole half of the end zone to himself. If the ball's tipped in anywhere in his direction, he's going to catch it. Just man up on him. It's like you cover him and let the other 15 guys fight it out in the middle.
Yeah, it does seem like a good plan. I think the Ravens went into that Hail Mary thinking the guy has red hair. There's no way he's able to throw it more than 45 yards.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everyone will be distracted 50 yards away by his red hair.
Yeah, they were like, no way. This guy, no chance. This gets to the end zone. And
I think you know how you have a hands team out there for special teams? I think you have to have the no hands team on defense for the Hail Mary, because anyone with hands ends up screwing you, I think. Or look to see if you have any amputees on the bench and throw them in there.
Well, the other thing with Hail Marys is you're allowed to commit gratuitous pass interference.
Sure. They won't call it.
Throw A.J. Green down. He shouldn't even be standing. What's the next one?
Did we pick this line? I don't think we did. Baltimore, Chicago.
Oh. I have the Ravens by 2.5. I'm sorry, the Bears by 2.5.
Yeah, you got this. I said 4, and it's 3. So I don't believe in this Baltimore team. They had 220-something total yards, including a drive in overtime, but Tillman's out for the Bears, so that could be tough.
I don't believe in Baltimore. I think that was probably their last big win of the year. The problem with the Bears, they brought the quarterback back too soon.
Yeah,
like he clearly couldn't do anything, and they just refused. They kept. It's like they were in denial with the whole thing. I thought that was a really winnable game for them last week.
I guess Trestman's getting the blame here, but I feel a little bad for Cutler. He gets crap for not playing in the NFC Championship game, and then he stays in too long in this one. He sort of can't win. But 4 of the next 5 on the road for Chicago, and that is where Josh McCown thrives. So look out.
The problem with the decision was McCown wasn't bad. It's not like they had Jeff Toole out there or somebody. McCown was actually doing half decent for them.
That's true.
Poor Cutler looked like Dan Marino in 1999.
Yeah, it was bad.
Didn't do anything.
They're in trouble, though, with Tillman out. Cleveland at Cincy.
I struggled on this. I have the Bengals by 6.
Oh, it is 6 exactly. I had 6.5.
I like the Browns.
You're up 4-3 now.
That Bengals team is in real trouble.
I did too. I like them. And they beat them 17-6 with Bobby Hoyer a few weeks ago. I just think
Brian Hoyer.
What, Brian Hoyer? What did I say, Bobby?
Who's Bobby Hoyer?
We need to take a couple weeks off.
This is like old guy radio.
Who's Bobby Hoyer?
Well, if Jake Campbell can take the Browns back here, it'll be really interesting.
Let me ask you something seriously, though. I may need you to help me out.
Yeah.
I want to go to this Browns-Jags game on December 1st. We've had invites from our friends. And,
don't think it doesn't affect me, because if you go, then I have to go.
Well, listen, definitely you should be able to go if I go, because my wife is now in her 8th month. And for me to leave, I think it would be funny to in the divorce proceedings where she just says, take December 1st, 2013. He left his 8-month pregnant wife and went to a Jags-Browns game on Thanksgiving weekend. And then the judge just says, you get everything and all of Kimmel's money, too. I've heard enough. But I still want to do it.
It wouldn't be great for you.
I still want to do it, though. Let's do it.
But anytime you can see a 1-10 team play a 4-7 team, you gotta rearrange your schedule. I think you have to.
This isn't going to happen again. And tickets are ridiculous, too, because it's Thanksgiving weekend, and I would have to use every mile I ever accumulated.
I think we should probably not go. I think we should just wait a year.
Really?
Yeah, we'll go next year when they trade up and they have Mariota or one of these guys.
All right, but they could be. Look, they're 4-5. If they win this, like we think, they're home against Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. Be 7-5.
That column I wrote Friday.
Yeah.
I changed the ending multiple times.
You
I
didn't
really
want
wanted to pick the Browns. I really felt like the Bengals. Those injuries are devastating. Like, you can't lose Leon Hall and Geno Atkins.
No,
You're a different team after that. And it's not like offensively they're juggernauts.
I know, but I thought that too. But then the Ravens had like 200 yards of total offense against them. I don't know if it's just that they're
The Ravens have
awful
offense.
Yeah, just keep waiting for them to run the ball. Like they can't get anything going.
Yeah.
All right, Oakland at Houston. This will not be on the big screen Sunday.
I like Case Keenum. I continue to support everything he's about. I have the Texans by 3.
By what? I didn't hear.
3 points.
All right, I had 5 and it's 7. So
that's stupid. The Texans stink.
Wait a minute, you love Case Keenum.
That's stupid. That's a dumb line. They shouldn't be favored by 7 over anybody.
Here's all I'm thinking: the awful Giants were favored by 7.5 over Oakland, and they came close. That came close to covering that. I think Houston's just as good as the Giants.
Their fans are angry and depressed. So don't forget that. And we also might have Wade Phillips again this week, so don't forget that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, almost definitely happening. Arizona at Jacksonville.
God, are we done with these terrible early games yet?
By the way, speaking of terrible, we have under 2.5 wins for the Jags, which is all of a sudden a very exciting wager. And this could be 2.
The Cards are good. I shouldn't say they're good, but I think the Cards are decent. I like their defense.
I think so too, but you know how
the weirdest thing with them, I have an opinion on this because he's been on both of my fantasy teams for like 6 weeks, but it's the weirdest thing. Andre Ellington is so much better than Rashard Mendenhall. People who could land from another planet who have never seen football before and just watch multiple plays of each guy, and even the aliens would know who was better. And yet they still play Mendenhall.
And he coughs up the ball at the goal line. Like, what's the point anymore?
Horrible. And Ellington is good. Like, Ellington does stuff. He breaks carries. He can catch the ball out of the back field. Like, he's exciting. I don't know what they're doing on that team.
I agree.
But at some point, they're just going to unleash him. Cards by 7 for me.
7. You said stammered into a 7. You get it, though. I said 4.5. It's 6.5. I guess you have to do that. Jacksonville's not ready to get any less than that.
I can't wait to tease that with somebody and then get angry that I put Carson Palmer in a tease. So look forward to that on Sunday.
What about, are we having Carson Palmer and Case Keenum in a teaser?
No, I'm not touching the Texans. But
come on.
I think a Broncos-Cardinals tease could be interesting, but we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Late afternoon games now. San Diego at Miami.
Oh, boy.
I would say loser leaves playoff town, but when the Jets are holding on to that 6th spot, they can't pull the trigger on that yet.
Very disappointed in the Chargers. That was such a winnable game against the Broncos, and I had a lot more. I had maybe a little too much faith in them, but they should have made that a game. I have Dolphins by 1.5.
I'm sorry, say it again?
1.5 Dolphins.
All right. Now, this is going to take me about 45 minutes to figure out. The Chargers are favored by 2.5. I had Miami by 3. You're going to get this. You're closer. But Sunday night, you were exactly right. Miami was favored by 1.5.
So that moved.
Yeah. The line, 98% are betting San Diego. And,
so the Chargers are favored by 2? 2.5? Oh, so that'll go to 3. That line should be 3. The Dolphins are done. They are. They might not win another game. Everyone's getting fired. Like, that's your perfect storm of a late season swoon.
I wrote about this in the Grantland column. Now it's even worse. The victim here, unsung victim, if you will, it's Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
He's been sacked like how many times? Like 35 times, and now 37 after last night. I mean, he's got Incognito and Martin, and they're playing, slapping towels on each other and sending racist texts back and forth, or just back. And now he's got the suckier version of these two protecting him. And they had 2 yards rushing yesterday.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's not great. It's not a great situation.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is everyone's getting fired.
Yeah.
But let's keep going.
Minnesota at Seattle.
Oh, boy. You know what? I got to say, Seattle, who I was losing a little faith in showed me what I needed to see from them last weekend. They hadn't had a kick-ass game in a while.
Very
like
quiet 9-1. Very quiet 9-1. Yeah. What do you have?
Not only a quiet 9-1, but how many? Like in the NFC, the only other team with 2 losses is New Orleans, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're now 2 games ahead and plus the tiebreaker over San Francisco.
Yeah.
But
so
I'll say this though, I still think teams think they could beat them. I think they had their last 2 home games. They struggled against Tennessee and Tampa Bay, and I think they have to win by 30 at home. They have to make teams fearful of them, like to go into Seattle. They don't have that mystique anymore.
I am very, 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 very interested to see what Percy Harvin brings to the table for them.
Yeah.
Because it's the one thing they're missing. They have these guys who are like perfectly serviceable receivers who can run outs, and Golden Tate can run down the field a little bit, but they don't have that like slasher Randall Cobb.
Oh no.
They don't have that Randall Cobb, Wes Welker. Harvin was supposed to be that guy for them. And Russell Wilson, I think he'd be really good throwing to him.
Is there a chance that Pete Carroll runs the score up here with Percy Harvin against his old team? A little midfield fight between Frazier and Carroll?
This doesn't look good for the Vikings. I have Seahawks by 13.5.
Oh, come on. Now you're cheating. You're cheating right now. It's 13.5 exactly. All right, you're up 7-4.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I picked this one exactly, and you probably will too. San Fran at New Orleans.
I have the Saints by 4.
All right, I got it exact. I said 3.5, and that's what it is. But it'll probably go up. I'd love San Francisco, and now I was looking for ways for them to not make the playoffs, but it's too easy. They have Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Seattle's tough, and then St. Louis and Washington are 5 of their last 6.
I have an interesting theory about this.
Go ahead.
I thought Carolina was the good bad team. It might be the Niners.
Ooh.
A reader who I will credit in Friday's column emailed that and got my wheels turning, and they have killed all the bad teams, and they did not look good in that Carolina game. Once Vernon Davis went out, they couldn't even – not only could they not move the ball, but they couldn't protect Kaepernick, which I thought was interesting. And he looked like very skittish.
Talk about – his quarterback rating in wins is like 90, and then it's like 12 in losses. And you have to just score a ton in the Dome against New Orleans, so they're going to be in trouble.
Well, the other thing is it seems like teams are they've figured out – the good teams anyway. The Panthers went in that game, and they were like, all right, we're not letting them run the ball. If you want to throw downfield to beat us, go ahead, but we don't think you can do it. And He couldn't do it. So I don't know when Crabtree comes back. It's either this week or next week, but they suddenly have a lot riding on a guy who just came back from a pretty serious injury, and then Vernon Davis, who I think is up to at least 2 concussions.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team. I know their schedule's easy, but that's a team that if you're going to say like what team is just going to go totally collapse down the stretch, they have to at least be in the conversation.
Well, I guess, but except for those teams that they have to play.
It would be hard.
I think all they have to do is get it together by week 15 or 16, and they're in there. I still like them -7 over any NFC East team in wild card weekend.
Yeah.
Take them. We're teasing them with Alabama, no matter what.
Okay.
So who's next? Green Bay at the Giants.
I'm not a huge college football fan, but I had never in my life heard of that guy who came in after Seneca Wallace.
Oh, I know. I remember. I know that he was drafted.
Scott Tolzien, and I was like, "What? Scott who?"
I only know that he was drafted when he was because I followed the Wisconsin team because the wife is a fan. But yeah, I know that's and the Giants. That's what I mean. The Giants. The terrific job getting back in the playoff hunt. They beat Josh Freeman, Matt Barkley, an injured Terrell Pryor, and now it's Scott Tolzien.
Oh, it's unbelievable. They couldn't have got a bigger break with this game. I have the Giants by 4.5.
You're gonna get it. I said 4, and it's 6.5. Opened at 4 though.
Yeah.
So you win this week. I was gonna say one more thing.
The bummer about that the quarterback looked. He had enough good throws that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman started to get excited about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you, this Tolzien, he can throw it. And then it was like, boom, the terrible throw in the end zone that gets picked off. Like, you knew it was coming. They were talking him up too much.
That was a tough game. That game was one when Deshaun Jackson had no right catching a touchdown pass, and two Packer defenders collided into each other, and he did. But, yeah, he was not afraid to throw downfield, which I like to see it in a guy who was on the practice squad 4 days ago. But do you think Matt Flynn gets in before the second quarter?
Matt Flynn's been waived 3 times. If he's your savior, it seems like Eddie Lacy's good.
Yeah.
And it would seem like you just got to ride Eddie Lacy and hope that he's enough in this game, because your quarterback's not winning this game in Giant Stadium.
I guess. All right. KC at Denver, Sunday night. Busted ankles or not, I'm very surprised if the Chiefs pull this off. I might actually give them credit if they did.
Broncos by 6.
And I'll get this at 7. I said 7, and it's 7.5. You like Denver, Arizona teaser.
Well, I want to know how injured Manning is. Just banged up. It's not anything bad, right?
Right. I think he feels like he did before the bye. So,
the one thing I will say, I actually don't think we should throw the Broncos in the tees, because the one way we've seen teams beat Manning, and especially this year, and especially if he's not moving around, is just you send the house after him over and over and over again. Or you have to be in his face. You can't sit back. You can't, you just got to go after him. And the Chiefs are kind of built to go after him.
Yeah. When you say send the house, you mean send my Hilton Super Contest partner Joe House after him with a fork and knife?
They might as well. Just send everybody. You got to hit him. You got to keep coming at him. You got to come at him from all angles. You got to make him do the thing where he's at the line, like looking a little scared, audibly in the play. And they're kind of built to do that. My question is, can they score enough points to stay in the game?
Yeah, I think this is the one game that the Denver defense steps up a little. So if this is in the 20s, I still see Denver winning again in the 20s.
Their defense, now that Von Miller is back and 16 pounds more muscular, their defense has been a lot more effective. But to me, this is like a kitchen sink game for Kansas City. It's
really,
and
kitchen sink game. 9-0.
Something Connor. Yeah, but if you win this game, you win the division.
Well, I'm going to say something.
Division's over.
You're going to disagree with this, but I think they're going to tank this game. They're looking ahead to 2 weeks from now when they play Denver at home.
My friend Connor, who's a giant Chiefs fan, he thinks they've been on cruise control offensively, just the bare basics, not running. Like, how many special plays do you think that Reed probably has for Alex Smith and McCluster and all these guys? He probably has like 15 under his hat.
Right.
And he hasn't had to use any of them for like 4 weeks. He's just like very basic. We're just going to run the ball and throw short passes. And I guarantee he has some stuff under his sleeve. He's got to.
Here's what I'll say. I could see Denver winning this game by multiple touch. They could win by 20 points. And then in 2 weeks, I could see the Chiefs winning. I don't think this necessarily spells the end of the season or the division win for either team.
I'm going the other way. If Manning's banged up, I'm smelling blood in the water, and this is a must-win for me because I can win the division.
All right.
If they have a 2-game lead over the Broncos, they win the division.
That would be big. New England at Carolina.
I'm hitting this exactly.
This is Monday night.
I'm nailing it.
Well, you don't need to.
Panthers by 3 points.
I said 3 also. It started at 2.5. Now it's 1.5.
Oh, that's a mistake.
You win 9-7 this week, including ties. That's a mistake. You said they should give at least 3.
I don't think people fully understand how banged up the Pats are.
Mm-hmm. Coming off a bye. I don't know what Belichick's record is coming off byes, but I bet it doesn't suck.
Well, what I'm hoping for is this becomes a week of, Carolina, this is going to be a coronation for them after they dispatched the banged-up Patriots. That's always when the Patriots are at their best, when everybody's just writing them off.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope over the next 5 days everybody everybody just gets their pens and their pencils and does a lot of writing off.
Well, that's what I
That'd be
thought.
nice.
But at least in Vegas, the spread went down a point. But that's interesting. But either way, congratulations to ESPN for airing something that at least resembles something that looks like professional football.
Yeah, is this game going to get flexed away from ESPN?
You may lose it. You may lose the game.
It's a great one. It's certainly the biggest game of Cam Newton's career.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, this is like, he made a couple great throws in crunch time of that Niners game. It was a nice 3rd and 9 to Steve Smith. It was like a frozen rope.
He looks like he knows what he's doing. When he takes off running, you're confident. He's got that confidence that you don't see in everybody.
I thought the Niners defense played really well in that game.
Sure.
And I know the Panthers only scored 10 points, but it's a game that Newton could have lost by himself,
right.
And maybe he would have last year. And this year he didn't. He kept them in the game and didn't do anything dumb. And
numbers-wise, he wasn't spectacular for anyone who had him on their fantasy team. But yeah, he did win it for him.
Well, that Sunday was the week of sure thing quarterbacks just tanking. Phil Rivers killed me. Andrew Luck, 3 interceptions. Anyway. All right, what do you got to plug?
That's it. Jimmy Kimmel Live, Robin Williams tonight, the kids from Modern Family, the Killers on tonight and tomorrow night, and then later in the week, Ray Romano, Eddie Cibrian, Sarah Silverman, David Blaine, the Magician, and music from Charlie Wilson. That's it. Grantland, my Friday pick, I'll have my column up. I promise I'll go 4 for 4 in props, or next week is absolutely free.
And tonight we recommend Michigan State -3.5, along with Kansas getting 5.
I like
so
that.
That's your loser. Go against it.
We recommend gambling
Sal,
just in general. Just take it, whatever you want.
Yeah, take it. Cousin Sal, is always a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Good job, Billy.
Target to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
Hey, what you got there, Golick?
The new Subway Chipotle chicken melt with guacamole.
Man, that looks good.
Yeah, this new guac is really bringing the flavor.
Got one for me too, right?
Well, yes and no. Mostly no. Well, really, all no.
Try the irresistible new Subway Chipotle chicken melt with guacamole, juicy grilled chicken strips with Monterey cheddar, Chipotle Southwest sauce, and new guacamole made from ripe Hass avocados with just a hint of jalapeno. Subway, eat fresh.